Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai-chan here, and you're watching the Waifu Files, a series where we discover and celebrate various anime and games through their lovely ladies. Recently, Capcom finally revealed their inclusion of Mai Shiranui from Fatal Fury into Street Fighter VI as a guest character. Mai really is a fantastic woman, and while she might be better known for her appearance throughout the King of Fighters series, I remember her best from the retro Fatal Fury OVA shows. Thus, to celebrate her beauty and charm, I'll be covering all the Fatal Fury waifu. To qualify for this list, the waifu need to have debuted in a Fatal Fury media. Trying to rising tackle all the gals from KOF would be a huge undertaking. Maybe we'll get to them some other time. For now, we've got 13 Fatal Fury girls to check out. Are you okay? Let's bust a nut! The story of Fatal Fury revolves around its main character, Terry Bogard. He and his brother Andy were orphaned as kids, before a man named Jeff Bogard adopted them and taught them the martial arts of Hakyoku Seiken. In the anime's continuity, Terry's dad Jeff is killed by Geese Howard, the reigning crime lord of Southtown. Seeking revenge, the brothers train under Jeff's master, Tung Fu Rue, and ultimately aim to defeat Geese in his own King of Fighters tournament. Even though Terry prevails, he only does so after losing the love of his life in the process. Despite being an amazing fighter, nicknamed the Legendary Wolf, he pursues strength with a melancholic aura. He's very much a lone wolf in that regard, reaching for the top while being unable to save those dearest to him. You might be wondering why I'm talking so much about a guy in this series. Well, that's because Terry is technically a waifu, thanks to the spin-off game SNK Heroines. Through some silly antics, the game's villain Kukri creates a pocket dimension where women have to battle each other. At the same time, he draws Terry into his dimension, turning Southtown's savior into a buxom babe. Terry's not exactly thrilled about his new gender bend, and fights his way to Kukri in order to return home. As far as he's concerned, it was all just a bad dream. As far as I'm concerned, it's a wet one. I'd give Terry a certified favorite, but unfortunately the game itself just isn't that impressive visually. If Femme Terry shows up in better games, I'll have to reconsider. Before Geese got his ass handed to him, he ruled over Southtown as a mafia lord. His lackeys tend to be rough delinquents, but that isn't the case for Lilly McGuire. She grew up as an orphan on the streets before Geese took her in. Lilly served as Geese's manipulative pawn ever since. For example, she was tasked with pretending to sell flowers in order to distract Jeff Bogard, allowing Geese's men to attack. She then had to watch as Geese murdered Jeff in front of his two boys. Sharing the guilt of this, Lilly grew up to drown her regrets in booze and by flirting with guys at one of Geese's bars. 10 years after that incident, she encounters Terry at that bar, and he fights for her sake against other pining brawlers. With Terry in town for the tournament, Geese orders Lilly to try and poison him, but she can't bring herself to go through with it. Instead, she and Terry fall in love for a brief time, until Geese repays her disobedience with violence. Blasted through a tower window, she suffers a fatal injury on the ground below. She barely has the time to apologize for her sins before dying in Terry's arms. Long after her death, Lilly continues to shape Terry's life for better and worse. At times, he drinks himself to idiocy, but at others, his memory of her encourages him to face challenges without hesitation, such as during his fight against Geese's rival, Wolfgang Krauser. If only Lilly had the means to free herself from a life of servitude. Equally tragic is Sulia Gaudeamus from Fatal Fury, the motion picture. Supposedly, long ago, there was a conqueror even more terrifying than Alexander the Great. This man, Gaudeamus, once fused his own armor with the power of Mars, the god of war. Thus, when Alexander's men had him killed, Gaudeamus reanimated his Mars and ravaged the land. It's also said that 4 wanderers put an end to Mars's reign, and to keep this from happening again, they buried the armor of Mars at different parts of the world. In modern times, the Gaudeamus family line continues with Sulia and her brother Laucorn. With the help of a mysterious pendant, Sulia's father was able to locate a piece of the armor, only to be murdered in cold blood by his own business partner. Given how the siblings had already lost their mother, Laocoon couldn't accept another loss and began collecting the rest of the armor for revenge. Sulia loves her brother and doesn't want to see him succumb to Mars's destructive madness. However, her concern falls on deaf ears. Thus, she recruits Terry Bogard to help stop Laocoon, and as they race for the remaining gear, she and Terry fall in love. At first, she uses her innate healing powers to save Terry's life, but this evolves into something much more passionate. Sadly, neither Terry nor his allies are able to prevent Laocoon from donning the full armor. Still, to give them a fighting chance, Sulia pierces her chest with a crystal shard, which, due to her psychic link with Laocoon, also injures him. In the end, Terry is able to pacify Laocoon, but once again, he has to part with another lover. At least Sulia was able to enjoy her time with Terry and the gang before passing on, and she demonstrates to him that hatred and vengeance can perpetuate suffering. The most iconic Fatal Fury girl is Mai Shiranui, the self-proclaimed best kunoichi in Japan. Born to a lineage of ninja, Mai learned ninjutsu from her grandfather Hanzo, and later his lecherous friend Jubei Yamada. During her studies, she met Terry's younger brother Andy Bogard. Initially, she dismissed him for his obsession with training, assuming he lacked compassion. She knew naught of the pain he and Terry had gone through losing their father. This all changes on Mai's birthday, when Andy offers her a gift. Now, she's head over heels for him, and even though the two are boyfriend and girlfriend, Andy isn't used to her affection. While he isn't the most extroverted romantic, Andy is always there to rescue Mai when she's in danger. That's not to say Mai can't hold her own in a fight, though. Her Shiranui Ryu combines both classical ninjutsu and traditional Japanese dance. Symbolizing this are her paper fans, which she can ignite and toss at her enemies. By extension, she can swarm her entire body in flames while attacking. I'm sure her thighs can deal quite a lot of damage, but when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, her elbow strikes are the most deadly. As if her outfit weren't distracting enough, Mai also confuses enemies by creating Bunshin shadow clones of herself. Outside of battle, Mai dreams of the day she and Andy can get married, going so far as to proclaim herself his fiancée before ambushing him in a wedding dress. She even teases him with a mock doll, joking it's their child. Needless to say, this is an uphill battle given Andy's shyness. The stronger she comes onto him, the more she scares him away. When it comes time to enter one of the many King of Fighters tournaments, Mai tries to join her boyfriend's team, but is denied on various occasions. Still yearning to participate, she teams up with other women like Yuri Sakazaki and King. To that end, I can't help but compare Andy and Mai to Sonic the Hedgehog and Amy Rose. When she's not clinging to Andy directly, she's lovingly chasing after him, fighting for every moment to be together. Perhaps it's naive and a bit airheaded, pining for a man who treats her more like a little sister, but it's endearing how she remains true to her feelings. I'm sure Andy will reach a point when he's ready to embrace her. In the meantime, I'll be admiring her as a certified favorite waifu. She steals all our attention, whether in her old or brand new design. Going back to the Fatal Fury movie for a bit, we have Panni. She's one of Laocoon's faithful servants, alongside the absolute brutes Jamin and Hauer. Setting herself apart from pure muscle strength, she instead commands the flow of water. Her hydrokinesis allows her to shape water into sharp bullets or large whirlpools. This happens to complement her agile fighting style. On Laocoon's orders, Panni attacks and defeats Lawrence Blood, claiming the breastplate of Mars. Just like Sulia, she worries what the armor will do to her beloved Laocoon. Regardless, she puts her own feelings aside to remain loyal. This has her attacking Mai Shiranui at a hotel in Jerusalem, but in the end, is struck right between the knockers by Mai's Chohisatsu Shinobi Bachi. Panni is knocked unconscious, and we never do figure out what happens to her. I get that she's evil and all, or at least teamed up with the bad guys, but that won't stop me from worshipping her fierce waves, if you catch my drift. Masami Obari is a genius for designs like hers. Moving on from the OVAs, here's a woman who could really deserve an anime appearance. Blue Mary, known also as the S-Class Woman and the Joint Crusher, is a private detective who fights in the King of Fighters tournaments. She was born in Southtown as a mixed-race Japanese-American named Mary Ryan. Following her family's tradition, she learned martial arts and took up a career in law enforcement. Her grandfather was Tatsumi Suo, another of Tung Fu Rei's students. Tragically, one of Tatsumi's own students of Jujutsu betrayed him, turning to a life of crime and killing him in combat. Said student just so happens to be Geese Howard. In opposition, Mary joined the Secret Service with her father, as well as her lover Butch, both of whom were shot while protecting the President of the United States. Ever since then, she's been unable to give a genuine smile. Butch was also her teacher, and she remembers him through the leather jacket he once gave her. She took on the name Blue Mary as a freelancer, based on their favorite cocktail. Mary first encountered Terry on a mission to investigate the Jean brothers of Southtown. The two of them look into her case together, becoming great friends in the process. After discovering her client was secretly Geese, she enters the King of Fighters tournament to get even. She also continues to enter later tournaments as part of other criminal investigations, teaming up with Terry, Mai, and even one of Butch's colleagues, Vanessa. Unlike her allies, she fights in the art of Sambo from the Soviet Union, performing strikes, grapples, and joint locks that pulverize her opponent's bones. By channeling her ki, she can lift up and throw any enemy, no matter how heavy they are. I love how Mary pushes on, fighting for justice, even in the face of great peril and tragedy. She's a wonderful companion for Terry in that regard. Debuting in Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves, we have B. Jenny. Born to an extremely wealthy family, Jenny Byrne yearned for a more exciting life and paved a new path for herself by running away from home and gathering a band of pirates called the Lillian Knights. She dominates this crew as a confident woman and powerful fighter of the LK arts, a variant of French kickboxing. She blends strong kicks with fast hand strikes and will even resort to removing her shoe and using it to bludgeon foes if needed. In a more supernatural sense, she possesses aerokinesis, letting her fire off wind projectiles and glide midair. Preferring to plunder the wealth of others, she sets her sights on the fortune of Kane R. Heinlein, joining his fighting tournament for the chance to ransack his mansion. While Jenny is usually very cheerful and outgoing, she turns ferocious when her plan totally falls apart along with Kane's mansion. Luckily, her crew is there to save her. In later King of Fighters games, Jenny participates to experience the heart of a good fight even more than any prize money. During the tournaments she sits out on, she and her crew can be found at Pow Pow Cafe, drinking up a storm and starting bar brawls. Specific to the Maximum Impact games, Jenny is shown as a Robin Hood figure, stealing from the rich to give to the poor. For as much as she enjoys the company of men, she's tough to impress, mainly because she's already stronger than potential suitors. Her inclusion in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is certainly a welcome one. Next up, we have Alice Nakata, who's a strange entry because she first debuted in the pachinko game Gado Densetsu, The Legend of Wild Wolf. She doesn't become a proper fighter until King of Fighters 14 in the mobile game KOF All-Star. Put bluntly, Alice is a Terry fangirl, wanting to be just like him, similar to how Sakura in Street Fighter idolizes Ryu. She grew up as a Japanese American, moving back and forth between both countries. After meeting Terry in Southtown, she vowed to become a fighter, developing her own style by picking up techniques from other martial artists. Most of these moves seem to derive from Terry, Andy, Joe Higashi, and Rock Howard. She proves herself skilled enough to convince Mai and King to let her join the women's team in the King of Fighters tournament. There, she reunites with Terry, hoping to show him how far she's come. Her obsession with Terry is so deep that she keeps a plush doll of him, and her favorite possession is the cap he once gave her. To an extent, she was the closest thing we had to a female Terry before SNK heroines. She's absolutely gorgeous in her 2D art, and I really wish she were less obscure. A more recognized Fatal Fury waifu is Hotaru Futaba, who debuted in Mark of the Wolves. Apparently, she was added to the roster to accommodate the rising trend of moe characters. Fittingly, she's against violence, despite being the daughter of a martial arts family. Because of this, her father taught her a less aggressive Chinese kenpo known as the Juke style. While she trained under her father, she found comfort in her kind mother and protective brother. Her life was mostly peaceful until coming home one day to find her mother dead. Unable to locate her father or brother, Hotaru doubles down on her training for the chance to one day see them again. Rumors about her brother lead Hotaru to join the King of Fighters' Maximum Mayhem tournament. There, she encounters a man named Gato and insists he's her brother, ignoring his attempts to deny it. She's so confident that she slaps him when he claims not to know her. Whether she's right or not, Gato continues to avoid her as she pursues him through other KOF tournaments. Still, she presses on as it's her only lead in discovering what happened that night to her family. Persevering through the sorrow, she puts on a brave face with an endearing smile. Hotaru's always accompanied by her pet ferret, Ikotatsu, whose approval of Gato only validates her suspicion. In pursuit of him, she's broadened her pool of fighting styles to include Neijia, Taiji Chuan, and Baguazhang. Hotaru's not as physically strong as her opponents, but she makes up for that via energy-infused ki attacks. She's also a very talented athlete and a charming addition to the series. Brute strength isn't everything. If it were, we wouldn't have energetic girls like Li Xiangfei. Southtown is a veritable melting pot, as Xiangfei happens to be Chinese-American. She was a child prodigy, learning many different fighting styles. Apparently, she hasn't lost a single match since she was 10 years old. After an escalated feud with her parents, though, Xiangfei fled to her Uncle Pai. She now lives at his restaurant and earns her keep as a waitress/bouncer. You'd better not dine and dash when she's around. Even though she's more than capable, Pai forbids her from entering fighting tournaments. This isn't enough to stop her from participating anyway. Contrary to her light weight, Xiangfei is a fast, hearty eater who gorges herself between catnaps. She then burns those calories with her Num Pai Chuan techniques, as well as moves inspired by Drunken Fist and even tokusatsu stage shows. To that end, she's a fierce bundle of comic relief. From his very first appearance, Lilly Kane has been a scoundrel, the right-hand man of crime lord Geese Howard. However, he wasn't always so nefarious. Initially, Billy and his sister Lilly Kane grew up in London as orphans. Back then, Billy would have to steal food so his sister could eat. In that harsh environment, he fought with a bow staff to survive, and when Geese saw him on a business trip, the crime lord took both siblings in. As an adult, Billy became the reigning champion of the King of Fighters tournaments, until Terry kicked his ass. Lilly is completely oblivious to these developments, humbly working at a laundry business. She starts falling in love with fellow fighter Joe Higashi, sparking her brother's protective instincts. Lilly's typically a pacifist, but joins as a character in KOF Maximum Impact 2 when she follows her brother back to Southtown. It appears Billy taught her a thing or two, as she can hold her own in a fight using laundry pole arts, going from damsel to clumsy brawler. The most obscure Fatal Fury waifu is Tsugumi Sendo, a character original to the PS1 fighter Wild Ambition. She's a naive high schooler from the wrestling team who goes to Southtown on an exchange program. Not expecting her destination to be a grand stage for fighting, Tsugumi takes this opportunity to hone her skills, even if it means challenging criminal overlords like Geese. Her story doesn't really get any deeper than that, and she's never shown up for any of the later Fatal Fury or KOF titles. I find it weird how her loading screen images look completely different to her in-game design. Our final waifu is so fresh that she technically hasn't released yet. Preecha is a brand new character, making her debut in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. To that end, all we really know about her comes from her official bio. Interestingly, she is both a scientist and fighter, specifically the disciple of Joe Higashi. Thus, she uses his Muay Thai fighting style, not for victory, but for research. By engaging in martial arts, Preecha hopes to better understand the supernatural process of harnessing ki, or spirit energy. While she has her own style, she fights other opponents to broaden her understanding of their techniques. Since she's another midriff waifu, I look forward to her debut with great anticipation. So there you have it. Those Fatal Fury OVAs were an important part of my childhood, and I still adore them even today. This video also gave me the chance to learn more about other Fatal Fury girls not present in anime form. Perhaps one of these days I'll tackle the rest of KOF, or move on to the waifu from Street Fighter. Regardless, I hope you'll continue to support this channel by checking out the full Waifu Files playlist. Be sure to let me know which anime or games you want to see in a future video. Until next time, celebrate your fandom!
I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters. Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Otaku Mom, Mystic Samurai 1983, Free Brick, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Olympian Doll, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Sal Soto, Tristan Riggin, Winter's Edge, Dionysus, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Sith Lord 906, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Kango X 77, and Alistair Bernadotte. Thank you all so much.